Hellblade Senua's Sacrifice is about an incredible Celtic warrior, Senua, and her journey to retrieve the soul of her dead lover from Hela, the goddess of the underworld. The plot, as simple as it may sound, alongside exceptional immersiveness, propels Hellblade to be what it is, a damn good game. Senua suffers from psychosis among other mental illnesses such as schizophrenia, anxiety, and depression. This has her living a waking nightmare, experiencing audio-visual hallucinations and delusions.
A vision.
To portray, let alone immerse the player in such a world is difficult enough in most forms of media, never mind video games. There's a natural deficit in understanding the difficulties one goes through unless that person themselves is going through similar said difficulties. Even then, perspective is everything. The act of observation is not enough to relay the hellscape that people like Senua live in. Video games, however, add another dimension to immersion that other forms of media simply cannot provide: control. Granted, there are exceptions to the rule, like interactive shows such as Black Mirror's Bandersnatch episode, which has the audience selecting pre-made choices affecting the outcome of the show. Though I would argue to say that this falls under a video game more so than it does a show, sharing qualities with other games such as The Walking Dead or The Wolf Among Us from developer Telltale Games. In Hellblade, this allows the player to form a deeper understanding of Senua and her psychosis. As nightmarish as Senua's world is, her psychosis is actually one of the few things that is less so. In the best of times, Senua's psychosis, or as the developers called it, her furies, alerts the player in combat of surrounding enemies. And in the worst of times, bombards your ears with doubt-filled whispers.
Can you see him? You want to believe it. Is he not real? Is he there? You're alone in these mountains. Is that Delia? Nothing lives here.
This portrayal of psychosis is then further pronounced through the use of 3D binaural audio recording, which, I gotta say, really takes immersion to the next level.
What's happening? It's breathing. Dead. It's breathing. It's breathing. He knows she's getting closer. He can feel her coming closer. She's getting closer. They're watching. They're watching.
After watching Ninja Theory's Hellblade development diaries on their YouTube channel, link in the description, I gained an even deeper appreciation for what they accomplished with Hellblade. Hellblade's development process was different in many ways. In particular, Ninja Theory needed to adapt to the harsh environment of the gaming industry, where games that weren't quite indie nor quite AAA were losing their place, and developers of such games were disappearing en masse. In turn, Ninja Theory wanted to create a way to release games where, quote, games could take creative risks, could be made for a smaller audience, but still strive for AAA qualities. Under what Ninja Theory called an independent AAA model, they developed Hellblade. This ultimately allowed Ninja Theory to tackle heavy topics, give it a AAA sheen, and still make a profit at a lower price point of $30, half of what a AAA game would normally cost. Additionally, without investors and publishers breathing down their necks, Ninja Theory was able to focus on their own goals and pour in all the time, effort, and love where they deemed fit. Senua's character design, the environments, the cutscenes, and the level of immersion, Ninja Theory's love for Hellblade is obvious and downright inspiring. Other games have done less for more. Hellblade's existence is one about defying odds, whether they be real or fake. In development, Ninja Theory pushed what was possible with a smaller team and a tighter budget. In the game, Senua reigned triumphant over her battles and struggles despite her conditions. And by the end, Senua was even able to defy her hallucinations and delusions. I highly suggest playing through Hellblade with a fresh mind, unspoilt. Skip ahead to this time if you want to avoid spoilers.
It was all a lie. You are a lie!
Firstly, let me tell you how and why Senua got to where she is currently. Senua's on a quest to retrieve her dead lover's soul from Helheim. In order to do so, she's gone through many battles and trials to get to where she is. She defeated a couple gods, attained Grammar, the legendary sword forged by Odin, and she killed a beast at least twice her size. Now that we're caught up, let's get back to talking about Senua's final battle. After fighting enemy after enemy, wave after wave, and getting an odd forearm pump, the final battle ends with Senua dying, not because of a cutscene or because of some scripted timed event, but rather because you, the player, couldn't fight any longer. After lasting quite some time during the final battle, I gave into the unrelenting waves of enemies and, to my surprise, went on my way to finishing the game. As mystical and fantastical as the game world is, saving a dead soul is still impossible no matter what Senua did. She needed to move on, and after all she'd been through, she did. Ninja Theory's current goal of creating life-changing art with game-changing tech was achieved after crafting one of the most important games in recent times. Hellblade's development was against the odds in the harsh environment of the gaming industry. Despite this, Hellblade was able to find its place as an indie AAA game and make an impact in the games industry, all while earning 5 BAFTA awards. One award in particular was given to the actress behind Senua, Melina Juergens, who, before her stint with Senua, never had a professional acting career. Hellblade's portrayal of mental illness allows for a unique and exceptional experience, something that proves itself to be already a monumental task in other forms of media, let alone video games. Through Senua, the game was able to tell the story of an exceptional heroine beyond definition who fights battles every step they take, a warrior whose shortcomings does not define them. But don't get me wrong, Hellblade still has its flaws. Its traversal and combat feel heavy and cumbersome, which heavily affect the game's intended feel. The combat system is dull and button-mashy, and enemy variation feels, to me, lackluster. Not to mention that the puzzles in the game feel more like a hindrance than they are engaging. And after watching videos on Hellblade's development, the original vision seemed different in terms of all the aforementioned aspects. And yes, you could make the argument that every aspect of the game was tailor-made to portray psychosis and other such mental conditions. But it is still a video game, and as a video game, those aspects stuck out to me as flaws. But I would be remiss to say that these issues pale in comparison to the game's monumental accomplishments, which have allowed Hellblade to blossom into one of the most unique and important games of recent times.